Hey YouTube, here's the Tempest strat, which I probably was playing on the live stream the other night. I'm just going to give it a quick once over, give it a bit of a clean stuff. It's actually in really good condition, and really not that dirty, but I took the back plate off when I was over at Scott's last night, and I don't think it's ever been off, and I think it's going to be the same, so I'm kind of just interested to see what's inside it. It's possibly even dated. I'm 95% sure that this is the first time this has ever been taken to bits. So it'll be interesting to see what we end up with. I'm going to shim the neck a wee bit. But I just started taking the strings off a minute ago. I thought, why am I not videoing this? So I'm just going to take the strings off it. The strings on it aren't actually that bad. They're kind of tempted to leave it on, but I mean, the thing is the guitar's actually playing really well as it is. But it's not right, the intonation's not right, you know, everyone just needs that wee bit of adjustment. So going from a guitar that actually just now is pretty good, I've got a feeling that once I'm finished with it, it's going to be really good. Yeah, well, hopefully. I'm really just going to see, it doesn't really, the electrics all seem to work quite well, but I'm just curious to see what's in below the scratch plate. I don't know, I mean, this is when I open it up and it goes, yeah, I'm 95% sure it'll open up and it's got warmings in it or something. I don't think it is though. Again here, talking last night about the thing about Japanese guitars of this era, or of any era, is what you don't get with a lot of other guitars is, look, that screw, it's been in there for 40 years and it just came out. Didn't take, you know, the head didn't chew off it because they just use, I don't know, better quality metal for the screws, which is unnecessary. You know, obviously now when you're buying a budget guitar, if they can save 10p using really cheap screws on a guitar, they'll do it. This is where I'm actually trying to make a guitar that's really good. There might actually even be information in below the neck plate. I spent last night. Oh, sorry, a bit of noise here. My mic. Yeah, so I was looking these up last night, trying to find other ones. I found other guitars, CMI Stratocasters. I'm going to ask about before I do the proper video. I will be getting a few videos out of this. You'll be sick of looking at it. I'll be honest. But what's I found? So there was CMI, which was I think it's a Welsh shop. Had a brand called CMI, and they were putting guitars out that were very much this. The only thing I've not really been able to find is one that has a brass nut. I think the brass nut is a stock thing, because there's one of these on... the only one of these I could find was on an auction site where I was selling 3 guitars. It was a PV, a cheap PV, an Encore, and this. It only went for like 120 quid or something like that. No, that didn't really take very long. I think this has got less screws in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think they've normally got more than that. It didn't seem to take very long. So, apart from dirt, what we're going to find down below here? Right. So, we've got Alnico pickups, because there's no bar magnet on the back of them. I honestly wasn't expecting that. I was expecting them to have metal backs or something, but these are probably... the reason I'm saying Alnico is because it must be the pole pieces that are magnetised rather than the magnet that's stuck to the back, which is meant to be a good thing. They've only used one tone cap for the 2 tones. That's fine. An old style 3-way switch, which I might not be changing. But just having a look at it here. I think it's pancake construction. Oh, no, that might just be a routing line. It's definitely not plywood. It's definitely wood of... Yes. So it's a pancake construction. So it's 2 pieces of wood, a top and a bottom. Which is fine. The routing is actually rather clean, I have to say. So there's the colour it would have been. If I could just give that a wipe, we can... So if anything, it's actually got less. You know, you think it's gone white's gone yellow. You can't really see that, can you? There. So you would have thought that that would be the colour after, but that's obviously, it used to be a more creamy white. It's actually got whiter with age. So there's your original colour. I'm looking for my wee squishy bottle of, there it is there. Just going to give it a bit of a clean while I'm in here. As I said, there was nothing wrong with the electrics, so I'm not really doing anything. I wasn't going to do anything with it. I was just curious to see what it was it ended up with. I just want to. I might as well make it as good as I can. This is the process I go through with most of my, or all my guitars anyway. It's the same as when you clean the inside of your car. It just goes faster. That kind of idea. If everything is absolutely as good as I can get it, the whole guitars are. It's just going to be 5% better. So that's it's worth doing. Like I said, this one is actually playing really well. It's just, I know it can be better, and that's what it's all about. I mean, you're talking here about getting that last 10% of sound out of it. That 10% is the difference between, like a Mexican Strat and an American Strat. It really is just, there's not a hell of a lot in it, but once you start getting up to once you start getting up to your high end of what you can expect, an extra couple of percent, your law of diminishing returns can make a huge difference. But I mean, to be honest, I'm not really going to do. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I wanted to. There was tide marks on the pickup. How much spring is there in that? Just. You see, I just want it to be. I don't know if I can really be bothered taking the pickups out. Is it actually going to gain me anything? Not really. But as you can see, the routing is. It's not Fujigen. I don't think they're normally cleaner than that. I think this is a Chushin built guitar. Chushin were a big, another big Japanese factory who made, amongst other things, Washburns. After 1983, Washburns were Chushin. They also made Vantage for a bit. We're now sort of 80s. We're at Vantage. What else did they do? They had a few other brands, but I think that was when I started finding lots of these. When you type in Chushin Stratocaster, you started finding. Oh, there we go. Finding, and you can kind of. I'm just looking at it for the the telltale signs of what makes this what it is. It's kind of weird. I was expecting a one-piece neck, but it's not. It's a two-piece, even though it's got a skunk stripe. So I think it's probably one of those things that, 1 year it might have had a skunk stripe, the next year it didn't. It's not a model change or an actual change. It's just slightly different supply chain or something like that. They found someone who they just changed the design slightly, slight updates as opposed to improvements to the building process. Probably started making it cheaper. So I mean, I wonder about these things. I don't think there's really much point in looking up Tempest guitars. I couldn't really find very much about them, but if I'm comparing it to the El Mayas, what other makes were there? I think I was up at 6 or 7 different makes that I found that were maybe not exactly this guitar. As I said, I couldn't find one that had a brass nut, but I could find so many that were just the same. It's got a slightly odd shaped head. It's not quite Fendery. It's not miles away from being Fendery. It's a wee bit blobulous, and so I'm going to take this neck off just out of interest. The condition of this guitar is fantastic for how old it is. It's almost at that sort of suspicious stage where you're like, why is it so why is it in such good condition? What's wrong with it? Touch wood, I haven't found anything wrong with it. But the guy who sold me this had cleaned it up. But those pickups look brand new. I mean, it's got age. There's definitely no chance that this is a new thing. This is. I don't know. I think looking at the ones I could find, I think about 78, 79, something like that. Just looking at the, what happened looking at all of them, you could kind of, there was a couple that were named, and the ones that had that looked most like it seemed to be round about that era. I don't know. I mean, am I going to go absolutely mental with this and make it as good as I can just now? I kind of don't want to. I'm too excited. I'm too interested. I just want to play it. But I want to play it when it's fully working. Not. I'm going to take the back bit off. I take it that unscrews. I think this is probably the original trem arm as well. This is the same bridge that's on my Washburn A20. And if I'm right. I'm always right. Is I think normally the block on the back of these trems is actually joined onto, is held on with 3 screws onto the base plate. This isn't that type. This is the base plate and the block on the back are cast together, so they're both the same piece of wood. The same piece of metal, which is obviously a more expensive way of doing it, but I have seen it before. It's a pretty standard Goto Japanese bridge, just exactly what. Well, actually, I'm saying that, I think my A20 is from about 79, 80. It's an early one anyway, so round about that era. Which the annoying thing about that is, it's like, oh, just put a new block on it. No, you can't, because it doesn't have a block. Well, it does, but the block is just as part of it. It's the same piece of metal as the base plate. Why am I going in here and take the strings out? That's why. Yeah. Because it's getting brand spanking new strings anyway. And it'll be getting a bit of a wiping below here. There, the original dirt. There you go, see, standard STC made in Japan. Yeah, see, the routing isn't as clean as the Fuji Gens tend to be. I mean, you can't see it. You know, it's behind the scratch plate, so it doesn't really matter, but it's when you see like the Fuji Gen bit ones and you go, wow, look at, you kind of almost want to have the inside exposed a bit just because it looks so good. And they're still doing that today, even with the FGN guitar. It's a bit. Oh, where's my? I have a little paintbrush line about. Is get the dust out. And I will be setting this bridge floating as well, because that's the way they're meant to be set. Isn't it? There was a time that I would just have, I would have kept these strings and put them on something else, but because they're not that bad. But I'm just gonna cut them off just now because I'm gonna doing it properly. Come on. Yeah, so I'm just going to shim the neck a little bit because it's a wee bit hand stabby, is the correct technical term. Paintbrush isn't long enough to reach in there, is it? 40-year-old dust. So if you look here, so you can tell about this bridge, if you look, there's normally screws that go in from the top in there, but if you look actually between it, you can see there are no screws. It'd be tempting to actually take that off and do something with it, but I'm not going to do it. Am I? Did I just strip that down? What time is it? 12:30. Fuck, I'll just do it. I'm going to do it right, eh? Wrong way. This is just the processing and doesn't make any difference having, I'm going to keep these in the same order, having these pure sparkly clean but it makes the guitar just that we're talking really 0.5% or 1/4% slightly better and all that, and it's like I'm just gonna go for anytime I can improve it a slight amount. You can see there, there's normally screws that hold on the base plate, the block on the bottom, they're not there. And even though it didn't look dirty, but it's possible this guitar, and it's 40 years, like 78, 45 years old. This guitar's probably never played in tune yet. When I'm finished with this, it's probably the best the guitar has ever played, because that intonation was wrong. A lot of people don't really seem to know what intonation is. Fair enough. And there's not really that much to be gained from. That's the thing, is it? I look at this, it is actually polishing up. Yeah, it's polishing up. Am I gonna go completely silly and take out? It's like, how far do I go? Do I take out these screws just so I can get cleaning in about them a bit better? I don't think I'm going to go absolutely mental on it. To be honest, I don't imagine I'm selling this guitar. I think this is as I say, a keeper. I'm just going to polish up these, which you can obviously polish them to a certain degree from the outside, but having them off, we get an F on it, whatever that means. Not a highly technical thing, this. But yes, see that you can tell which one I've cleaned and which one I haven't. See, so I mean, and if you just do that with everything in the guitar, that means I've just committed myself to taking the tuners off, possibly. I don't think I'm going to do any mods to this guitar at all. Even the 5-way switch, I don't think I'm going to bother putting in. I think I'll just leave it as a 3-way. What was the other thing I was going to do? Other things with the Japanese guitars, see now I've committed to saying this, the wee grub screws on here. I've had so many guitars, even that are only a couple of years old, that those wee grub screws have just turned to, they don't turn anymore. Whereas these ones, look, absolutely no resistance at all. Just because it's made of better. It's just a better grade of metal. Machined more accurately. I really want to try and, if I push that through, it'll clean the grooves on it. But this is the deep clean thing. I mean, this is the sort of thing you can do. It's like, if you don't really need to have any technical expertise to take these things to bits. I'm just going to run that, and by putting that screw all the way through there, it's going to clean the crap out the grooves on the top, which will keep them running nice. And I'm aiming for just having them so that, what I was saying there about being a bit hand stabby. It's like, you see there that's sitting flush there. Before it was sitting, this one's not too bad. You see they're sticking out, so my hand was hitting off these wee rough bits on the edges of the grub screws. Which you can just get used to, or what I'm just going to do is going to put a wee bit of cardboard behind the neck, which will just lower the neck angle, allowing a little bit like that, which will raise the bridge up a little bit. Only needs to come up like 2 or 3 millimeters, and that will just mean that I can get a good a bit more out of it. It's interesting, this pancake construction. I didn't know Tushin did that. that Matsumoku? I don't know. The problem with looking up any of this stuff, even online, you know, I said when I typed in Chushin guitar, lots of them came up. That could all come from one person who was wrong at the, 15 years ago on the internet. The same as the old thing about, when Matsumoku made Washburn. Matsumoku never made a Washburn guitar ever, because we know that from the guy who actually who works at Washburn, at the Yamaki factory. Oh, see, that has actually... Right, sod it. I do it without... I'm taking out... I'll tell you, I would not be taking these screws out on a cheap guitar. Because they might not go back in again, or they might snap, or anything like that. Just, ain't broke, don't fix it. But in this one, I can get that a couple of % shinier. But doing that, I'm just going to take two. I can't bother taking the actual bridge off. I'm just going to put. I just noticed there when I gave it that last wipe, it was taking off the tide marks. Go for the individual screw clean. They're also not adjusted right. They're all tight into the body. You don't want tight into the body on one of these. In fact, maybe on this guitar you do actually. So you want these to be just shy of tight, so there's enough room to get the bridge to float. So I'm not putting these all the way in. And really, when I had the scratch plate off, not giving the electrics a squish with contact cleaner was a stupid move. Bit of pay. Not that they were making any noise. So you want the contacts to be cleaner. I'm sure they can be. Well, I've actually just been outside taking a couple of photos of this. I was showing my pal, Wayne. So I think it'd be interesting. I'll try and take exactly the same photos once I've cleaned it up and see if it looks any different at all. I think it will. I don't think it'll be one of those things that you can actually point out what it is that looks better. It just looks better. The eye is just drawn slightly to any imperfections. So the more of them you can get rid of, the better. Okay, right, I'm going to start putting these back in again. These weren't in any order because they're all the same. A couple of screws, which should stick to these magnets. And I didn't pay attention to which one was the E and which was the A. Shouldn't really matter. That says F on it, so does that. F probably stands for fender size. Something like that. Through that to there and there, and to get this started I'm going to use a hand screwdriver so I don't end up chipping the front of the guitar with using a DeWalt drill to do it. I like the guy who sold me this actually. Bit of a wheeler-dealery type. But, as with all these things, it's like a good one. You can sort of tell when someone's bullshitting you, or I'm quite good at it. I don't think he was perfectly kind of like me. Both got on a wee bit of a laugh. Deadly serious about some things. Serious about things that matter. Not serious about things that don't. Actually, I was having thoughts of my Washburn A20 had damaged one of the saddles was missing or bent or broken or something. Someone had replaced one of the screws with one that didn't fit, so it had mashed it up. So my washburn doesn't actually have the original saddles on it. I put brass ones on it. So in theory, if I was ever going to sell that to get it back to being original, because it definitely had these saddles, I recognise them. Again, I'm really just doing this to make sure everything still turns, but the difference. And you're talking about like the things like these wee stupid grub screws. That was the one that really pissed me off with that guitar. I had to smash up. It's like that was brand less than 5 years old, and none of those screws turned. They were all fucked. You're just like, they saved 5 pence by using the lowest quality metal they possibly could. I dare say there's probably quite a lot of modern guitars are like that. I just don't think that you're in, 45 years time or whatever, there's not going to be any Harley Bentons. There'll never be a 40-year-old Harley Benton. Or you might find one or two, but they'll be fucked. Maybe got one that somebody kept it in its box, you know what I mean? But you're not going to get one that's actually seen any playing or any action, because it's just going to be... You're going to get to the point, maybe you might find there'll just be a point where you go, right, I'll just take the expensive parts off it, the Wilkinson bridge and all that, and put them on a good guitar instead. I do know I excessively slag off Harley Benton, but if they weren't so popular and there wasn't so much stuff on the internet and people who say they're pure amazing, I've got this brilliant, it's just the same, and it's just that they're not just the same as a real one. It's not. It looks the same as a real guitar. It totally does in a picture. It looks the same as a real guitar, but as soon as you play it, if you know what you're looking at, you just pick it up and you go, all right. There's no way that you could badge this up, blindfold me, put me on this guitar, and then is this a Harley Benton? No. That's it. It's like you can say you're doing the blindfold test. You can tell exactly what it is. I can sort of tell Japanese guitars a little bit these days, and I can sort of tell kind of Korean samiki type things. They've got a sort of thing, it's an undefinable thing, which I will continue to try and define, like a tactile thing or something that just gives it a slightly different taste, like a Coke and Pepsi thing. Yeah, Coke and Pepsi taste the same, but not quite. There is a difference. Something you're more likely to notice if you drink, Coke if you have a can of Coke every day for lunch and then you don't have any Coke and you have Pepsi. Yeah, you're totally tasting the difference. Whereas like me, I don't know the last time I had. I'd possibly be right. In the Pepsi challenge or whatever, but I'm not sure because I don't really drink it that often. Whereas it's the same with guitars, I go through that many that I can tell what they are just by looking at them. Well, I want to check what the radius is. I think it's a 7 1/4 inch on this one. It's got that vintagey thing going on. I think I'm going for it's being a copy of a 70s Strat, rather than because it's got the big headstock and it's got the bullet truss rod, which I was actually talking about the other night, saying that's what all truss rods should look like. None of you pissing about with the stupid grotty hole you have to stick the Allen key into. No, you can actually see what's going on. Bullet truss rod, best design. This might not be the most interesting video you've ever seen. Do I have a video to put out? I've got one from. Take this over to Scott, so I'll be fine. This will be a relax with a beer video, or maybe even during the day or doing the dishes. I need to put a link to Scott taking Troy for a walk video. I'm just going to guess this and put this at roughly what I think it should look like. It's normally kind of that shape to start off with before I do any junction. I kind of want that one to be slightly shorter than that one. Yeah, kind of there. So I'm just going to make the right shape, but basically the way I kind of cheat doing the intonation a little bit, just because I've done it that many times, so I kind of put it into the shape that it's approximately meant to be, and then I'll intonate the E string, and then adjust them all to be roughly the right shape, and then go over and check it, and fine adjustments. This, look how hand stabby this was. That was kind of why I wanted to change the bridge angle, the neck angle, just to make it so that that wasn't sitting as low. Again, I mean, see the confidence that I acquired there. Going up here, yeah, all these. This is great because all these screws will turn. Can't say that about guitar. Most guitars. It's like the confidence you get when you actually get a decent, like a really good Floyd Rose that you trust. I don't think it necessarily has to be really decent. You just have to trust it, you know. And the difference between having a Floyd Rose where you're kind of like, oh, I'll maybe give it a wiggle at the end of the song, and you're kind of, there's a wee niggle in the back of your head going, is it still in tune? But then when you actually get like a proper, well set up Floyd Rose, something like, you know, my Roadster up there, it's like, it's, yes, watch this, woo, tring, and it's just like, you know, the smugness that is involved in such things is great. Having a really good Floyd Rose just, and that's partly set up, but also partly the quality of it. Like a badly set up good one, Gotor or a Scholler one, which, you know, £300 Floyd Rose isn't as good as a really well set up cheapy Amazon one. But there's nothing. Oh man. I mean, cleaning bits you can't see. Do I really need to do this? No. It's kind of annoying. It's just dirty kind of in there, which I can't actually get at. Paintbrush, I'm gonna just lodge some of it, sort of. Yeah. So now the bridge is shiny. Yep. Right, let's take this neck off and see when it's got a date code and it's hand signed by somebody. There's not going to be any date code. There's not going to be hand signed by anybody. There's going to be no indication of anything. I think the only indication is going to be it's going to have a really nice, it's going to fit really well. Oh, I was wrong, there is. We have information. We have 30. Oh, and look, there's a factory shim. That's quite a thick shim, isn't it? Well, yeah. But there's your wood. Oops. Yeah, so 30, 39. Something like that. Wee holes drilled in it. Don't really know what that means. But that there's the kind of wood it's made of. I'm not really sure what that is. Is that mahogany? Or is it? Oh, is it? What is it? I saw somewhere. Is it sen or something they were talking about? Is it a Japanese sen? Right. I'm going to shim this with a wee bit of cardboard, but it's not going to be very much. I'm going to leave that original shim in. I mean, I'm talking. I'm only going to. It's only just a bit off this strings box, so it's not, you know, it's not thick card. I'm just going to put a wee shim in, just as it wasn't far off. It just wasn't quite doing what I wanted. Cut that, and hopefully that'll just be enough. Stupid, not enough room to put it on. So I'll just put a wee bit of cardboard in there, and that'll tilt the neck down the way. And I suppose while I'm in here, it's like, oh, tide marks. So I'll clean them off. Clean off the dirt you can't even see. At least you get some more Windowline. I used to use Windowline, but it ran it. So now I'm using I think it was Pound Shop Home Office screen cleaning gel. Just because Look at the condition of this. So look at that neck. Look. Oh, there's a slight dink to it. It's 45 years old. Look at it. The only thing is there's a dent there, which is the one bit you see. But apart from that, it's pretty much mint. Even I've not touched these frets. Look, I mean, okay, there's the first fret. There's sod all wear on it. A wee bit of dirt, but really very, very little. So this is what I'm doing here is I'm holding it up to the light to see to make sure it's as polished as it can be. Kind of like to take off the tuners, but I can't be bothered. But because I can sort of see something, I can see it get cleaner when I do this. I think I might have to, because if I don't, it'll just end up. One day I'll clean this up. If I just make this as right as I can just now, I don't need to ever take it to bits again. It'll last another 40 years. Right, there's a good point actually. So what kind of guitars are going to be kicking about in 40 years time? And it's like, this one still will be. It survived. A guitar has to survive the between 5 years and 15 years where it's at its lowest ebb. That's, you know, I've often thought that would be the best time to buy a guitar is when it's about 10 to 15 years old. Once it gets to 20, 25 years old, suddenly it becomes a desirable vintage thing. So the best bargains are always... So basically just now I'm thinking your best bargain guitars you're going to get if you're looking for the most guitar you can get for not very much money is probably 90s Korean stuff. Companies you've never heard of, obviously. Things like Tempest, or whatever the 90s companies are, like your Indies and Shine and all those guitars, which are much better than they should be, but nobody bought them because you can buy an Epiphone for that. It's like, yes, you can. You can buy an Epiphone which isn't as good, but the same thing happened in the 70s when people were buying, like, you know, the Washburn Wings and stuff like that, the Yamaha, well, maybe not the Yamaha SGs, the Aria Pros and stuff, and it's like they bought the best guitar. Up here, yep, I'm kind of want a Gibson Les Paul. Okay, but have a look. Here's a Gibson Les Paul, £600, and here's a Washburn Wing series. It's also £600, and there's nothing. It's like, you know, it's through neck, solid rosewood. It's so overly spec'd. It's ridiculous, and it's a twice as good a guitar for maybe slightly less kind of similar money. But if you'd bought that at the time, it would still be twice as good a guitar, still infinitely superior in every way. But the Gibson Les Paul, instead of being worth 600, 700, 800 quid, whatever it is that the Washburn is, it's worth $2.5 grand or $3 grand because it's a Gibson. Oh, it's a Gibson. Ooh. Don't impress me much. This is really annoying. I'm getting to the point where is it actually just going to be easier? Am I going to be able to get it just by taking the tuners off? It is only 2 screws in each one. I can't be bothered. I'm desperate to play this. I'm going to have a wee go at cleaning that brass nut as well, I think. In fact, I wonder if I think my fret rubber might do some ridiculous stuff to that. All hail the fret rubber. So there, brass nut. Ready? That noise is me making that noise. You don't need to. No, that did sound. So basically, use a fret rubber to clean your brass shit. Look at that. That was like 5 seconds of cleaning it, and it's now got a super fancy looking one. Right, I'm going to give these a. This does not count as a fret polishing, by the way. But if you get one of these rubbers, if you do, it does just shine them up nicely, just the surfaces, and it takes literally there. So you're changing the strings, just do that, and it makes it all nice and shiny again. I'm going to do a wee bit more on this one because it's quite dirty, so I'm just going to basically just a cloth. it really is in such good nick. It really is hard to believe that this is as old as it is in this condition. So this is not one of the guitars. You know, you often get the pure. Oh, you can, if a guitar's well worn, something like that Yoshi. You know, it's well worn. Somebody's really loved this guitar. It's been well. It's been well used and loved, and it's done its job. This one has been bought by someone who had too much money or liked the idea of having a guitar but didn't actually do it. I mean, even things like the couple of dents that are on it are not playing dents. They're dents from being knocked about in a cupboard. You know what I mean? They're falling over from a stand as opposed to actual wear. This thing. It was clean anyway, but now it's now just going to be absolutely sparkling. And just polishing with elbow polish. It's annoyed me that wee bit of dirt here. You have to have a certain mindset to do this kind of thing. Like James May said, "Is this as clean as I can get it?" He was doing a concourse thing. Is that no? Well, keep going then. It's like until it's as clean as you can get it. So you physically can't get it any cleaner. And when you're doing that, it seems completely pointless what I'm doing here. But see, once I put this guitar back together again, it's just going to be bing, because you're not going to see any flaws in it at all. I'm going to take out those two wee string trees, put them back in again, because so I can get a good run with the cloth in there. I'm not going to change these. I'm not going to change anything in this guitar. If it had replacement pickups or any of that stuff, or been through the wars a bit, there's not much point in keeping it original. It doesn't make it worth any more money being all original, but I like the idea of it being all original. And if it was there would have been a point in like the 70s when it's like, oh, okay, your 50s Stratocaster, that's fine, but you don't need you can change the pickups. Why not put a humbucker in it? It's like, yeah, great. It's only an old guitar. It's not going to be worth any money, and it's like, yep. I had to survive. Look at Scott's got a '69 Stratocaster that's got a Ibanez Edge Floyd Rose put on it, which at the time was not the '69 was not as desirable as the pre-CBS ones. So it's just a cheap guitar. I want one with a Floyd Rose on it. Bang, there you go. That's better. That was the right move, taking out those string trees. Just giving me a better run with the cloth. You can kind of tell. You see, if you look, there's a really obvious line here, where obviously this piece here has been stuck on. The next end's there. That's how I've been kind of finding these. And see if you look at that, it's kind of like got on a fender that's rounder. Whereas this is kind of a bit bulbousy looking. That was how I've been finding these. And there's your truss rod. That's what it should be. You put the Allen key in there, you can see where it goes. Yay. I'm now sitting there because it's got a wee bit of scoring on it. Then I'm going to try. I could get the brass out, but I'm actually going to individually clean these string trees. Yes, I am. Now, where's my? Did I not have an old nail? I've got an old nail brush there. Or a toothbrush. Use your old toothbrush. Give it a rinse. I've actually considered using like toothpaste itself as a sort of polish, and it's like polish is a sort of a gritty substance to give you a bit of grip. To a slight abrasive is the word. A slight abrasive thing is what toothpaste is. So it's probably quite good for cleaning guitar parts as well. Plus, it might smell smell nice and minty when you're finished. So I can't actually say I've actually done it, but the principle of using toothpaste to clean something, yeah, sounds fine. I wouldn't do it in situ, as long as you can get the bit out so you can run it under the tap and clean it, and clean all the toothpaste off. But just having and this is not. I've gone ridiculously deep in cleaning some guitars, like the Washburns and stuff. Having them right down to every single screw out, every screw dunked overnight, WD-40, and then polished in the morning. And it's ridiculous, but I mean, see, once you've done a couple of these, it becomes very therapeutic, I find. And once you've got the satisfaction of knowing that when you're finished at the end, it's going to be totally worth it. I've got no doubts this is going to be worth it. So I'm even going to clean in behind the neck plate, even though you can't see it because it's behind the neck plate. You can sort of see the edge of the dirt though, so. Just a quick scoosh. Yep, look how clean that made in Japan plate is. It's just fingerprints. You can't even see the scratches on it, and these are often very scratched. And even the screws. I mean, these building a guitar. It's like, what kind of screws do you want to use? Oh, watch it. How cheap can you get an effective screw? Good, I'm using the. I've got the clutch thing engaged in this, so it stops when it gets to the required tightness. Isn't that lovely? Yes, I will be doing Scott's neck pocket thing with that later on, as in once it's cleaned up. See, look, it's just like these screws could be cleaner than that, but I don't want to go insane doing this. See, now I've cleaned up that bridge, which is looking super duper. It's chrome plated. It's not your tin shite you get nowadays. That's your proper chrome. Right, where's my straight edge? How is my action sitting when it's like that? I could probably shim that a wee bit more. Do I want to shim it a wee bit more? No, it wasn't that hand stabby. I'll get used to it. And that was with the bridge not floating as well, so I need to do that. So is that me really ready to just put in put a new set of strings on it? I think it is. I think I'll treat this one to rotos rather than the Zicos. So my last set of rotos. Need to go back and see Tony. Use more strings. I've definitely sold him entire Bucky casters just for sets of strings. And these are not Clausen type tuners. These tuners look like they don't look anything special. But even though the really cheap ones you buy now, these are the ones you get on, let's say, the cheapest Epiphone. I've got tuners that look like this. Yes, so they're this rough design, but made of pot metal and shite, so don't last. Whereas these ones are, there's a wee bit of play, but very little. Very little. I'm not going to bother changing them. I mean, I think there's no arguments that a set of Clausens or Wilkinson ones are better. No, they totally are. I do not deny it, but how good do tuners really need to be? I don't really do that much tuning. And they're more pleasant as long as they actually work. I'm not one for. I don't upgrade tuners unless there's something particularly wrong. They don't work. How is that sitting? The action's still high. How the neck? give it a wee tweak of the truss rod. I even checked this at the guy's house. He had an Allen key to need a little bit more. A quarter turn, perhaps. Slightly too much. An eighth of a turn. There we go. Just, but that's the thing. See, when you look up how to do your truss rod. Oh no! I'm totally tempted to get the wire wheel out and do the edges of the frets. No, I can't be bought. I want to play it. This is an initial. Just so I can play. Oh no! See that tide line there? I want to play the guitar. I'm going to build the guitar. I'm not fully committed to this. It still might be shite. Totally not going to be. It's totally not going to be. It's I mean, the difference between, like, see this and, I don't know. I'll just compare it to what it's like the Blazer. Yeah. Like the two Japanese Fenders I've got. It's kind of the same guitar, but you know, a few years older. But they've kind of changed the way of building it a little bit, but the principles are kind of the same. What is my action set at just now? We're at so I'm saying I got it's a high action. It's actually under 2mm, which is an acceptable action for if you're just trying to make a guitar play. 2mm is kind of where you're at, where you still play a wee bit of slide as well as guitar. You know, not your guitar that you not one you only play slide on, and you want the action really high, but that's the kind of, if you're playing it, normally the guitars I've got, I set them up to be kind of, no matter how good you are, you're not really going to be able to play slide very well unless you're really good at it, because you know, as soon as you put the slide on, it just hits off the frets and all that. I was going to check I'll do it once I've done this, the fretboard radius, which I'm guessing is I think it's a 7 1/4. Which would be vintage correct. I think. I don't know when they started changing it. I know they are. Like the 50s ones are all 7 1/4. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking it past, 2 tuners past the one that is, putting a kink in it, sticking it through the tuner hole. And using the string winder. And yes, these are all very much sticking up, pokey in the eye type thing. But, and let's see, as I've just said, these are a bit pokey in the eye. I would look really stupid if I did actually poke myself in the eyeball with it. When I've just said that, so yeah, snip down. It's really going to annoy me, that dirt in behind that pickup. I might be able to clean it later on though. I'll raise the pickups up too high, go round the outside of it with a toothbrush, and then put the pickup back down where it is. And one of Scott's pet peeves is having the pickups too far away from the strings. It's just, I don't mind it being a bit lower. I'm a wee bit more heavy handed though. Mind you, I think I'm getting a wee bit lighter using nine strings and maybe being a little bit, realising being a bit less of a bass player really. Playing a bit, yeah, absolutely battering into it. Next time I change strings, I'll give it a better clean. I just want to play it. This is a problem I have with some guitars. And to be honest, I don't really get this problem with other people's guitars. You know, it's like you bring me in a guitar, even the most fantastic guitar in the world that I absolutely love. You know, I would do this properly. I wouldn't be sitting there going, "Oh, what is it like? Oh, it's mine. I want. Oh, is it as good as I think it's going to be?" And there's normally a wee bit of fettling time as well. You know, it's like slight adjustments to things over time as I get used to it. And I'm just going to take my time and get it as good as I can get it. I don't really need to check the fingerboard radius just now. Yes, I do, I suppose, because then I can use the bridge to set the height. So you're meant to do the intonation last. So you set your action, then you set your intonation. So I think what I'll probably do is I'll probably tune it up, then I'll float it. So I'll tune it, float it, do the action, then do the intonation, and then go back and do the action again, because once you move the intonation it moves a wee bit. But the slight dirt on the inside of those frets is going to piss me off no end. Guarantee it. Right, I need the action down a little bit more than that. Where's that? Time for my customer to spend most of the day trying to find something that I had in my hand 2 minutes ago. Where's that Allen key? Where would a sensible person have put it? And then the next question is, but where did I put it? What I do actually have is I've got the option to stop this video and go back and see the last time I had it. The chances are I probably just left it sitting there and I've flung it somewhere. There it is. Haha. Didn't fling it somewhere. Right, so I'm going to do the action. Do you do the 1p trick? Might be the one. That'll be my initial one. Have I got £2? Got some actual money. £2. A penny. Go on, penny. Where are you? Yeah. So rather than going for super technical, what I'm doing is I'm putting a penny between the 12th fret and the string, and I want it to so it doesn't quite pass under it. Tighten up a little bit more. It doesn't fit under it without moving it now. Which actually, if I measure it now, not particularly super accurate, 1.5 millimeters. It's maybe come down a little bit, maybe go down to 1 1/4. But now I've got 1.5 is well acceptable and nice. And I'll just do the same with the E string. The high E even. That was the E string as well. More. Technically, you can have the high E string even lower than the low E, but I'm happy with it just being for this particular part of the process. You notice it doesn't fit under it anymore. I'm having to move the string to fit under it, so there be that one. Yep. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and get the radius gauge, just partly to find out how it is and to set it up. I know I've done this so many times, I can kind of normally just eyeball the radius of the strings, but it'd be nice to know. So I'm going to go for the 7 and the 7.25 and think, this is a 7.25. Isn't it? Isn't it? Is it? It is. So vintage spec, 7.25 radius. So what I'm now going to do is, yes, I know this is just the initial one, I've not finished yet. This is just to get it roughly right. I want to be able to, you can't hear that one, so I want to make it so that they're all initial. Just go for what I think it should be. I don't think that shim was big enough. We'll see. I'm just going to guess at what I think looks right, and then I'll fine tune it with the actual radius gauge. And the fine tuning you do these things should always be done with the strings, with the guitar sitting like that, not like that, because the weight of the strings is pushing down. So to get the best accuracy, you want it like sitting vertically the way it will be when you're playing it. Unless you're playing it on your lap, which is doable. It's starting to look a bit more right. About 2.5. Just that one. I don't even know you can hear that, but that's it open, so I'll put this on it. Muted. Muted. Just bring it up until it touches the bottom of the guide. It's almost 7.25. It's quite. It feels weird when you're doing it such a tight radius on a guitar. And you want these to be sitting level as well. That's alright, that's alright. Yep, so there we go, that's the radius approximately set to be roughly. I'm just going to put that back into its holder. Allen key holder thing, here's all the metric ones, here's all the imperial ones. Buy one of these and keep them all in this, is my advice. Right, so what we're doing, I'm just going to tune it. Yes, so I'll tune it, then I'm going to float the bridge. I should really have a better system for doing this. I'm kind of, because I'm kind of talking about it. And, there's a new tuner. It's just giving me G sharp as a bad signal all the time. It's just too high. Bit buzzy. Right. I need a new tuner. This is pissing me off. Fucking tuner to my head in. But it's just, oh, actually, where is my, where's my My Cranking House guitar bag. That's what I want. I'll use my pedal board because there's nothing wrong with the tuner. It's something to do with the power supply. These cheapy tuners, which this one is exactly the same, needs a very clean power supply. They just register as G sharp all the time. So this one's running off a battery. Yeah, okay, so now it's on. Well, cheers to Ian for giving me this pedal actually, because I was complaining about my tuner not working, so he gave me another one. Even though it's the same kind. And it was like, right, okay, that's brilliant. Cheers, put it in. It was doing exactly the same thing. Then I realised it's because I'd daisy chained the tuner in with something else in the power supply. It needs its own separate. I can't actually see that because it's too dark. Right, there we go. That bloody tuner's not working either. I think the battery might be flat. How annoying is that? I think the blue LEDs are broken. And these things normally it's like you can't even see it at all. That display is actually lit up. I think the battery's just totally nearly dead. What a hassle. See, that was my great idea, because these pedals don't take a battery. Basically a wee bit of metal and then it's just a battery there. With a connector on it, so I can run these without having to run a power supply to it. But that's just annoying. Less eyes stabby. Maybe a bit tight. I never. Yep, so to be honest, I'm just going to end this video there. I'll do another video doing the intonation later. It seems to be almost there. I need to rewire that pedal board so I can get my tuner working properly. It's been weeks, but it's sitting there. Basically, see when you've got like your guitar lead plugged into the tuner and you set it on the floor, it registers as G sharp, just as a sort of short circuit type thing. Just keeps doing that. So you're sitting there going, it's not when you're on the G string that's difficult, but you're sitting there going, this string's not a G sharp. It just gets annoying. So I will hopefully have this up and running by tomorrow night's live stream. I will have it up and running for tomorrow night's live stream. Or probably last night's live stream is where you're looking at it. So rock on, and if you got this far, well done. Like and subscribe, and maybe I hope this stuff's kind of relaxing or something like that. I don't know. Catch you later.